All right, let's talk about something huge that's happening right now, almost without us noticing. We're going to unpack this seismic shift. It's all about a technology, AI, that was supposed to be, pure digital intelligence. But now, well, it's slamming headfirst into the hard, messy, expensive reality of the physical world.
Welcome to our explainer. That quote you just saw, it really hits the nail on the head. The AI bubble did not collapse, it collided with reality. We're going to dive deep into what that actually means. This is the story of that exact moment. The moment the big dream of infinite, perfect digital intelligence smacked right into the very real, very finite limits of our world. And look, this isn't a story about AI failing, not at all. It's a story about it finally having to grow up. So, where did we first start to see the cracks appear? How did we even know this collision was happening? Well, it started with something that honestly seemed pretty small at first. OpenAI just quietly flipped a switch and turned on ads inside ChatGPT. And this wasn't some big, flashy new feature they were celebrating. No, this was the first real, visible sign of some immense stress happening behind the scenes.
$9 billion. Just let that sink in. That is the absolutely staggering amount of money OpenAI supposedly burned through last year just to keep the lights on. And the crazy part, estimates for this year are even higher. It just pulls back the curtain on the brutal economics of trying to give free intelligence to, well, the entire planet.
And right here, this is the heart of the problem. You've got hundreds of millions of people, literally, using ChatGPT every single week. But only a tiny fraction of them are actually paying subscribers. So when your user base is that massive, but your income is that small, the math just doesn't add up. It's that kind of intense pressure that forces a company's hand, making them do things they probably never wanted to do. Like, rolling out ads.
And you know what was really telling? The reaction from their competitors. Demis, the head of Google DeepMind, he actually came out and said he was surprised by the move. And his big concern? It all came down to trust. Think about it. The moment you start putting ads on a personal AI assistant, a tool that knows your private thoughts, your conversations, that whole relationship you have with it, it changes fundamentally.
But look, this money pressure, it's really just a symptom of a much bigger issue. The real collision, the big one, is happening where AI's digital world smashes into our physical one. The entire industry is waking up to the fact that this isn't just about clever software anymore. Oh no, now it's about steel and concrete and a whole lot of power.
All of a sudden, the race to win at AI isn't just about who has the best code. Now it's about who can get their hands on real-world resources. We're talking about huge amounts of electricity, massive plots of land, building permits, the exact same stuff that hospitals, cities, and all of our other essential infrastructure needs. AI is now in a head-to-head competition for the very building blocks of our society.
And this quote from the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, it just captures this shift perfectly. He's not talking about software here. Listen to his words. He's using the language of factories, of power grids. And let's be real, the second you start calling your project the largest infrastructure build-out in human history, you're basically sending up a flare. You're inviting a whole new world of oversight, regulation, and public scrutiny to your doorstep.
Okay, so if AI is now this massive, physical, regulated industry, what does it actually take to win? Because the old rule book, you can just toss it out. The game is completely changed.
Here's the most important thing to get. Just having the smartest model, the most brilliant algorithm, that's not enough anymore. Not by a long shot. That whole era is basically coming to an end.
What we're seeing is a massive paradigm shift. The old race was pretty simple, right? It was all about building the smartest model. But the new race, it's about something much more tangible. It's about control. Control of the data, control over access to power and land, and, this is a big one, the ability to navigate the crazy maze of global regulations. That is the new high ground.
And you can see this new strategy playing out in real time. Just look at what Google's doing. They're not just plugging away at building models anymore. No, they're out there acquiring companies that give them a strategic edge. Companies that can model the physical world, that can understand human emotion, that are exploring brand new AI architectures. What this is, it's a massive consolidation of power.
But this whole collision with the physical world, it doesn't just stop at data centers, not even close. The next step in this evolution gets way more personal. AI is getting ready to jump off our devices and into our lives in a much more direct way.
You know, for decades, our whole relationship with computers has been through a keyboard and a screen, right? We type something, it responds. That's the deal. Well, that entire relationship is on the verge of a dramatic change.
And this is where we're headed. This is the next frontier. We're talking about everything from wearables, stuff Apple and OpenAI are looking into that give you continuous contextual help, all the way to the much more ambitious goal of, well, direct human integration.
And that path leads us straight to the wild frontier of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. And this is not science fiction anymore, folks. OpenAI has already poured a ton of money into a company that's developing non-invasive BCIs. The ultimate dream here, the endgame, is a future where our own minds can directly connect with machine intelligence. Why? Well, partly so we can even hope to keep pace with how fast AI is growing.
So, okay, we've got this incredible technological push. On one hand, it's becoming this massive physical infrastructure, and on the other, it's heading straight for the human body. But all of it, every single piece of this puzzle, it all comes back to one huge unanswered question.
And this, right here, is the central conflict that the entire industry is grappling with. The cost of compute, you know, the raw horsepower you need to train and run these giant models, it's just skyrocketing. But at the same time, the ability to actually make money from AI, well, that's growing at a much slower pace. And that widening gap between cost and revenue, that is the very heart of this economic reckoning. Now, for any company whose whole business model is just selling access to their AI models, this pressure is existential. I mean, it's a make-or-break moment. It is absolutely going to lead to failures, it's going to lead to a ton of acquisitions, and ultimately it's going to decide who is left standing when the dust settles.
Which brings us right to the final and maybe most important point. For years and years, the big question everyone asked was, can AI become truly intelligent? But you know what? Maybe that was the wrong question all along. The real question, the one we have to answer now, is can it justify its immense cost? The cost to our power grids, our resources, our economies. Can it actually prove that it's worth the price we're paying? And that is the reckoning the entire industry is facing right now. I'd love to know what you think, so drop a comment below. And hey, if you found this useful, a like and a subscribe would be amazing. Thanks for joining me on this one.